everyone, my name is Alicia Jackson, licensed professional counselor, and welcome to my channel where we give mental health information from a centered place. Today we are going to talk about, is there pee in the dating pool? Is there pee in the dating pool? We have heard this, or at least I have, on many a podcast, in many conversations, especially with people who are struggling to find a person or find their person, and being almost like, should I just stay single? It's really hard to navigate this dating world, and I want to really take a look and answer this question from a clinical perspective and from a centered place as well. So what we want to do in this video, we're going to talk about is what the P in the dating pool stands for from my perspective. We're going to talk about the common ways that people protect themselves in the dating world and how that gets in the way of connection, of true intimacy and connection. And lastly, we're going to talk about some strategies, and very simple strategies, to navigate these treacherous waters in this dating pool. So before we get started, of course, please subscribe to the channel. Please, if you are enjoying this content, like the video and chime in on the conversation, especially if you have some important questions about the information I'm sharing, as this is a lot to unpack. And so I really wanted to do like a full-length video, and I'm also thinking about doing a live chat as well with a few of my colleagues to have a deeper conversation about what dating in 2022 and beyond looks like. So let's get into it. So let's first answer the question, right? Is there pee in the dating pool? And I would say yes, but not in the way that we talk and joke about. I think we joke about it because it's hard, right? We joke about it because we're like, should it be, or why is it so hard to find a person that I connect with, or that is a safe person, that's being an honest person? Why is it so hard? The P that I define in the dating pool does not have any negative connotation to it. It is truly just a part of the human experience. I truly believe that the P in the dating pool stands for two things. Pain. Pain is truly in the dating pool. We unfortunately experience pain in our daily lives, whether it's emotional pain, traumatic pain. We experience pain through our lives, and that shows up in how we interact with other people and the way our minds are made. They're very protective. And the way they work, they're very protective. And so when we experience pain, they develop instinctual ways to protect us from feeling that pain ever again. It is our job, whether we know it or not, to attend to the pain that we experience in our lives so that we can navigate the world confident and calm and feeling secure in ourselves. Oftentimes when we are operating from a space of our protectors, it's because we're avoiding something, a fear. It's a fear-based response. And these protectors come up and they usually over-respond. And so that stands for the second P, protection. Protection is truly in the dating pool because, can we be honest? Can we be honest that sometimes we don't trust ourselves to navigate this dating pool because of past mistakes or things that happened to us? And so we use these protectors to make sure that that pain does not happen again. So let's talk about some common protectors that we do see in the dating pool. Brick walls. Brick walls are a common protector that we see in every relationship. Can we be honest? It's not just in the dating world, but we do see it there. And it's usually for people who have a hard time and don't trust themselves to let someone out of our life when they need to be released. If you ever heard me talk about boundaries, the brick wall is representative of a rigid boundary. No one gets in or out in a brick wall. There's no way in and no way out, right? And so that brick wall, that high level of protection, makes sure that no one gets in and no one gets out. And so there's this hard exterior in a way to keep people out. It may be the scowl that you have on your face. It may be how you closed in your emotions and you don't share your feelings or thoughts or anyone. You have a lot of secrets. You withhold a lot of information because you do not trust yourself or other people to be able to share yourself. You don't trust people to come into your world to prove themselves, and if they don't, to let them and escort them out to say, I'm sorry, at this time you're no longer able to stay in my life. And so because that trust is not there, therein lies the brick wall. Hypervigilance. Hypervigilance is another protection that is utilized in the dating pool. This is when you are scanning constantly and questioning every single behavior that a person exhibits to see, is this a red flag? And you see this so many times, and that's why I made a video about green flags, which you can take a look at, so that you can maybe have more of a positive view on how to adapt and think about behaviors from a way that's not scanning all the negative behaviors that you see. But hypervigilance is when you are constantly looking and on alert for any potential red flag. Is that red? Is it pinkish? Is that orange, like orange red? Constantly looking for any behavior to rule someone out. And this puts you in a space where you're not in a state of calm. You're not in a state of calm. And again, you don't trust yourself to be able to discern when someone is right for you or when someone needs to be escorted out of your life. Hypervigilance creates a space where dating is even more stressful than it has to be because you are constantly on alert. You cannot sleep. You cannot take deep breaths, because at any moment, if you're caught off guard, that means that you will experience pain, and which will mean that you will blame yourself. And you hear this, you're taking on all the responsibility, to protect yourself. And not to say that it's not your responsibility, and at the same time, that person who you're interacting with, they are also responsible for their actions as well. Another protector that we see in the dating pool is passive aggressive communication. And we see this in a couple of ways. One way is when someone is trying to communicate their expectations or try to communicate a request, and they don't do it in a way that is direct. Using passive aggressive communication can lead to a lot of mixed signals and assumptions. And a person has to then try to decode what you're saying without saying it. And it requires so much more mental energy than that is required if you were just to state your request or state your offense, right? If there's a situation where there's a conflict, to just say it, right? And oftentimes people who struggle in that area just have a hard time navigating conflict, feel that if they do communicate directly, that might be the end of the relationship, or the person might be upset at them, and for their self or their inner child, that is distressing. That's distressing. And oftentimes that may be with children who have experienced divorce or abusive homes and things of that nature. And so they use polite ways to navigate relationships, because them not doing so would be an explosion in their home. And so they continue this protection throughout their lives. And not to say that this is for everyone, but this is generally speaking what I have seen in my practice and also through life's experiences. And also another way passive aggressive communication can be challenging is that mixed signals, right? When someone is saying one thing and doing another, and it causes some confusion. You don't necessarily know where the other person is. And sometimes people utilize this so that the other person really doesn't know where they're at. They're hiding things, and they're using this as a way to protect themselves so they can navigate in the relationship from the way that they want to, without communicating that directly to the other person. Which leads us to our next level of protection, which is dishonesty. Dishonesty, the way that shows up in relationships as covering up, right, for past mistakes, it may be, or insecurities, or again, also as a way, unfortunately, of deception, a way of getting their needs met and dishonoring the other person. Because sometimes people do not trust that the other person is going to be aligned with what they want to do in the relationship. So say they want to have an open relationship or they want to continue dating other people. They may not share that with the other person they're dating. And so they use dishonesty as a way to get their needs met without communicating that to the other person or making that known. And last but not least, I could not leave out this level of protection as it is ever so prevalent in our culture and in our world, but the blame game. The blame game is definitely a part of protection where men are blaming women and women are blaming men. And there's some truth to, I believe, how we are socialized in this world, that does play a part in our relationships. And there are some ways that we are socialized in this world that are harmful and could negatively impact our relationships. And so we do have to do our due diligence on how to navigate that, how to learn more helpful ways to navigate our relationships and get our needs met, and also be present for our partners that we connect with. The blame game is definitely coming from a root of shame, and that is our shame culture with bashing people and things that do cause us pain. And I understand it. And definitely have compassion for it. As anything that causes us pain, we truly feel like something is wrong and it needs to be corrected, it needs to be rectified. We don't want this to happen again, and we need to do better. And all of that is true. And at the same time, we can only continue to learn and grow as we continue to learn and grow as human beings. So blame almost can, if you think about it, is very similar to the brick wall protection. So you're blaming either the opposite gender or even same gender. You're blaming and not really getting to the root of the issue, because it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Oftentimes, what we're blaming each other for, we have both experienced it. Both experienced it. I believe that men and women are in spaces where they have been hurt. They have been hurt. And so because of that, how we respond is through these common levels of protection. These levels of protection. And these protectors, I want to be clear, I really want to be clear, are not negative. They're not. They're not. They're useful. They're very useful. And at the same time, they do not get us the best results. They can get in the way. They can get in the way of the progress we want to make. They can sabotage the relationship that we say we want, the outcome that we say we want, the healthy relationship that we say that we want. And so that is why we need to attend to these protectors and really the pain that these protectors are protecting. And so even with common language that we hear, matching energy, you've heard this, I'm matching energy. And matching energy is truly just a way that we protect ourselves, right, from giving more than we receive. We don't want to keep giving and not receiving. We want this relationship to be reciprocal. We want the other person to also be attending to our needs as we are attending to theirs. And at the same time, having this as a way of protection in a relationship can cut off communication and miscommunication and us not being our true selves in a relationship. And then we're constantly in that space that we talked about before of hypervigilance. We're constantly taking an assessment of what the other person is doing to make sure that we're matching, right? We're matching energy, and we're constantly taking a look at ourselves as well to make sure we're not giving too much. And that causes, again, so much stress to the dating experience. So how do we fix it? How do we fix this? How do we navigate these dangerous, treacherous waters of the dating pool? How do we do it? Take your time. Take your time. Take your time getting to know yourself. Getting to know yourself and building a trusting relationship with yourself. And all of you. Getting to know all of you and accepting all the parts, even the parts of you that you don't like. A lot of the protectors or methods of protection that we utilize, come from a space where we truly don't trust ourselves. Let's say it again. We truly don't trust ourselves to navigate relationships. We don't believe that we will listen to the signs, so we will lean maybe more to our logical side and remove our emotions and keep those concealed instead of being present with our feelings and attending to them, and also attending to our thoughts in our logical mind that says, hey, this isn't right. You're calling way more than this person is. Maybe we want to look at that or address that. Or maybe we just say this isn't working for us. We don't trust ourselves to be able to do that. Secondly, take your time. Take your time truly getting to know this person. Truly getting to know this person, who they really are. Not just how you feel about them, but who they are as a person, their character and their behavior. And does that line up? Is what they're saying lining up with who they're showing you that they are? Are they responsible with their belongings? Are they responsible in their relationships? How do they navigate their relationships outside of their relationship with you? How do they handle accountability? And this is a big one. Because can we be honest that we all struggle in accountability? Taking accountability for something you did wrong takes work. It takes real work. That's a skill. That is a skill. And for individuals who carry a lot of shame, that can definitely be a challenge because they feel like if I messed up, then that means I am wrong. And so that will cause them to be very defensive and sometimes even deflect the situation back on you. And so, how do they handle accountability? Do they own up to when they make a mistake? As we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all get it wrong in the area of relationships. But do we own our stuff, and then do we work to do better? Do we work to do better? So take your time to truly get to know this person. Truly get to know this person, not just how they make you feel, but their character and who they are, their relationships, and how do they handle accountability. And lastly, take your time. Take your time acknowledging how all of your parts are responding to this person. What do you mean, Alicia, all of my parts? Well, we do have multiple parts within us, and that is coming from the model that I utilize in practice, internal family systems. If you want to know more about that, I have a video about that on my channel to take a look at it, which is what is IFS. But we use this language all the time. Part of me feels this way, and part of me feels that way, right? And so we want to attend to all of those parts when we're connecting with someone in the dating situation. How does all of you feel about this person? And attend to all of them. Listen to them. Don't just ignore one part and listen to the other. Attend to all of them and sit with it. Sit with it for a moment. I think sometimes we feel that the dating process has to be urgent. It's not urgent, but it's definitely important. Finding a person is very important, but taking your time, as you can see, is a trend throughout this video on how we navigate these waters, is so important because you have to listen to yourself. And so if you built that relationship that we talked about first, if you built that relationship, you've attended to who this person really is, how they show up in their relationships, how they handle accountability, who they really are, their character, right? Not how they make you feel. Then you can take an accurate assessment and listen to all the parts of you. And there may be a part of you that's like, oh, well, this person's going to be a great person down the line. And there's a part of you that says, well, right now, how they're showing up isn't working for us. Listen to those parts. Listen to the parts and sit down with them and sit and even think about where it comes from. Sit and get curious about where it comes from. Where do these thoughts come from? What is making me want to hope for this person to be better than how they're showing up for me right now? Has this been a pattern for me in the past? What other relationships were like this before? Think about it. Is there a part of you that's just excited because of who this person is, but not really how they're behaving or how they make you feel or if they respect you, but they're just excited because this person makes you feel a certain way or has checked some boxes within you that hasn't been checked before. They make you feel validated. They make you feel seen. And at the same time, parts of you feel disrespected because of how they treat you or how they talk to you. These things have to be addressed. And so sitting with those parts. And if that means that you have a meeting with yourself and you're writing all this down, or even bringing it to your therapist, as I'm going to advocate for you to find an individual therapist, especially to navigate this dating pool. This is hard stuff. And our relationships truly are a mirror. We get to see ourselves in a way that we wouldn't see ourselves if we weren't in a relationship. That can also be a challenging experience. So having a therapist along the way can be very helpful for you to have this meeting with the different parts of you that feel different ways so that you can make a decision that's going to be a calm, confident, and a decision with some clarity. So answering the question, yes. Yes, there is pee in the dating pool, but we are not referring to people. We are not calling people pee, okay? We're not doing that. We're not calling people urine. We're just not. We experience pain. That is a part of the human experience. And instinctively, the way we respond to that pain is through protection. And that is, unfortunately, what gets in the way sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes it gets in the way of us having the quality of relationships that we really want in our lives. The openness and communication, the vulnerability, the intimacy, true communication, clear communication, direct communication requires that those protectors take a seat back. We're not trying to get rid of them because we want to be able to navigate this dating world wisely. Correct? And at the same time, we want to be able to trust ourselves to make the right decision. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts about this, about protection, about pain, about how pain shows up in the dating world, and maybe some common protectors that you utilize in the dating process. Let me know your thoughts. And of course, subscribe to the channel. If you stuck around this long, you definitely need to like the video and comment below. And as always, be cool, be calm, be centered. Peace.